Hello friends, this is Durga again from ITversity. As part of this video, I will be covering how to set up Spark 1.2.1 on uh, Quickstart VM 5.4.x or 5.5.x. As I have mentioned earlier, Cloudera provides you a cluster with 5.3.2 configuration as part of the certification. And one of the major difference between the cluster which they will be providing as part of the certification and the VM and the current available VMs like 5.4.2 and 5.5.x is Spark. In uh, um, in the cluster they will be having 1.2.0 version of Spark, and they will be providing 1.2.1 documentation. There are not major differences. You can follow 1.2.1 documentation and develop for 1.2.0 or vice versa when it comes to syntax and semantics. But between 1.2x and 1.3x there are major differences. If you want to see, you can actually go to their programming guides, especially Spark SQL programming guide, and you can see that 1.2.1 does not have something called data frames, which is new starting from 1.3.0. So if you are already familiar with Spark, and if you are working on Spark, and if you want to give the exam, you will not be getting data frames, and hence there is no point in using data frames or practicing data frames for the certification. Just a word of caution if you are already using Spark. And also when it comes to data sources, 1.3.0 can actually connect to other databases also using JDBC, whereas 1.2.1 it is not possible. So these are the differences, and hence it is safe for us to practice on 1.2.1 than whatever is available in the Quickstart VMs. For that reason, we have to set up with 1.2.1. So you can go to the browser in the VM itself, and then go to Google here, search for Spark 1.2.0 download, and click on this, and then you can click on downloads of Apache Spark. I am not able to connect using my VM, but you will be able to. If you are also not able to do that, then probably you can go to the browser on your main PC, and the link which failed in the VM looks like this. The page will look like this, and then here we have to choose either 1.2.1 or 1.2.0. I will be choosing 1.2.1, and then I would like to get pre-built for Hadoop 2.4 and later. So for the certification, when it comes to Hadoop, between 2.4 and 2.6, there are not major differences. Actually, the cluster which they will be providing will have Apache Hadoop 2.5.0, and the VM which we are using have 2.6.0. But there are not major differences in between 2.5.0 and 2.6.0, so you are fine with it. There is no need to worry about Hadoop version. However, when you choose the download, you have to choose pre-built for Hadoop 2.4 and later, so that it works with 2.4, 2.5 and 2.6. So you can safely download this, direct download, and click on this, and it will be downloaded into the downloads folder. Once it is downloaded into the downloads folder, if you download using your PC, then you have to SCP into the VM. You can drag and drop, or you can use the terminal or Cygwin or WinSCP to copy the tar file into the VM. Okay, so I copied the file to this location from downloads folder. Now you can actually say tar xzf. It's a tarball in gzip format, so you have to run tar xzf, and then you have to give the file name, and then it will untar and unzip and will create directory with name spark 1.2.1 bin hadoop 2.4. You can see that it has created a directory here. So you have to go there. Now we have the Spark, but if you try to launch, it does not know about our VM configuration, about our Hadoop cluster and all. So for that reason, what you have to do is you have to go to configuration directory, and you can see that there are no configuration files here. So it will be taking all the defaults, whatever is possible, and you will not be able to access the files in HDFS directly. For example, if I do Spark shell and hit enter, it will launch the Spark shell without any issues in local mode or in native Spark mode. Oh, I'm sorry, you should not run the Spark shell directly here. So here what you have to do is, if you run Spark shell, it will not pick it from this location, it will pick it from user bin, and this points to the version of Spark which we got as part of the VM. For that reason, you should not run Spark shell directly. Rather, you have to give the complete path or absolute path to the Spark shell under this location. So what I will do is, I will go to so instead of going to bin directory, I will just run bin slash, and there is a Spark shell command here, and if you hit enter, it will run the current downloaded version, because it will not be using the based upon the environment variables, and you can see that it is using 1.2.1 as the version. And then I have the file under user Cloudera departments. And if I want to read this data using Scala, the command is sc.textfile user Cloudera departments. Okay, and then you can say count to get the number of records in that file and hit enter. But it failed, saying file does not exist. It is actually looking in the local file system for this file, which is not available in the local file system, because Spark is running in local mode without the Hadoop awareness, so it does not know where the Hadoop is. For that reason, we have to copy the configuration files. So let's do that. Exit and ls-ltr, going into conf directory, and then we have to copy all the configurations under this one. It's a link, so you have to use slash here to list the files. So we need to copy all these things. So what I'm doing is cp-rf, because you have an conf directory also here, cp-rf and etc spark conf slash to this location, and now you can see, okay, it actually copied the directory rather than. So what I have to do is, I have to do this. Now if you see, you can see all those files. I can delete conf. So now we have all the configurations that are required to point to this cluster, but these files have references to 1.3.0 version of Spark. You might lead into some issues when you try to run some commands because of that. For example, if I try to go back one directory up and then run bin/pyspark and hit enter, still it is using 1.3.0. After copying the configuration files, when you launch Spark shell, it will use 1.2.1, but it might not work with yarn because the integration is not proper, and we are trying to just get use 1.2.1 as a workaround for the certification. For that reason, when you actually start Spark shell with master local, it will work. If you use yarn with 1.2.1, it will not work, but with master local, it will work without any issues. But PySpark is always will always get to 1.3.0. To fix that, we have to again go to the configuration directory, and there are references to Spark 1.3.0 binaries in this, and we have to fix those. For example, if I launch spark defaults.conf, here you can see that it is actually looking for Spark assembly 1.3.0. Similarly, if I go to class path, it is using Spark 1.3.0. Rather, we have to use 1.2.1 versions, which are under this directory. There is one directory called lib, and you can see that there is assembly and yarn shuffle here, and we have to use these two jar files rather than 1.3.0 versions, which are part of the VM. Okay, now I am going to the directory again in another window, cd spark conf va spark defaults.conf. Here I have to delete this, paste the path first, and then I have to copy the jar file name also. Here it is assembly in defaults.conf. So copy and paste. Okay, and now we have to modify one more file, which is classpath.txt. va classpath.txt, and here also we have to give this directory, and here it is yarnshuffle.jar. So we have to paste appropriate jar file name here, which is spark 1.2.1 yarnshuffle.jar. And now paste it, save it, come out of it. Now we have downloaded Spark 1.2.1, and we have integrated our Spark 1.2.1 with the Hadoop we have on the VM, but we will not be able to run using yarn to submit the jobs. We have to use local only as long as we are running against 1.2.1. And also, before running it, first make sure that Spark service is down in Cloudera Manager. So I am logged into Cloudera Manager. And here you need to make sure that Spark service is down. Now it is down. If it is not down, you can select this one and click on stop, and it should be down. You should not run Spark 1.3.1 and Spark 1.2.0 at the same time. Okay, now you have this one. Now we can actually do bin/spark shell master local. If you use master yarn or default, it will not work normally, because there are issues with the integration with yarn with respect to 1.2.1. That being said, I am hitting enter and getting into Spark Scala shell, or Spark Scala based Spark command line interface. Now you can see that it is launching using 1.2.1, and it is launching using native Spark mode. No errors in this. And now you can run sc.txt file user Cloudera departments, then collect for each println. This is a simple Scala command, and hit enter, or Spark Scala command, and hit enter, and you can see the data. If you want to get the count, because it's in Avro format, it is causing the issue. If you want to validate with the appropriate file, I have text file under this path, import /departments collect for each println and hit enter. You can see the records in that location. So it is working. You can run more complex scripts also. Only thing is, if you have data frames reference, then those scripts will not work in this. So if you are using Spark for some time, and if you are familiar with data frames, then that will not help you for the certification. You have to discard it and try to use the older version of Spark while Spark commands while executing some scripts. And also we will validate Python also. Even PySpark you have to launch using PySpark master local and hit enter. It will launch the command line interface, Python based Spark command line interface in a moment. It is still using 1.3.0. Let me see. Yeah, I know what is the issue is. The issue is I have to give bin /Spark, sorry, PySpark. It is very important to use this one. And you have to give the fully qualified path or absolute path to the commands that are part of Spark 1.2.1 bin Hadoop 2.4/bin. So whatever, if you don't use this, as we already have the existing Spark from VM itself, and the default files under user bin like PySpark and Spark Shell is pointing to the original version of the VM. It will launch those things, so you have to be extremely careful. Always you have to use the path for this for the relevant PySpark or Spark Shell commands and hit enter, and now it will launch with 1.2.1. Still it is using 1.3.0. Probably I might be missing something. Let me look into that. Yeah, I have identified the issue. One more thing you need to modify is you have to go to sparkenv.sh and change the path to the 1.2.1 version rather than user lib, which is default out of the VM. We have to change it to the appropriate path for 1.2 version. So copy this one and paste it. So we have removed all the references in all the configuration files and class path files in sparkenv.sh, sparkdefaults.conf and classpath.txt. Now if I run PySpark master local, the appropriate PySpark master local, it will launch using 1.2.1, and now I can run for x sc dot in sc dot text file /user /cloudera /scoop import /departments dot collect print x. This is just a sample script. I will not be getting into too many details about syntax and semantics here. We will be covering those things later. And hit enter, and you can see the data. So which means our PySpark is running using 1.2.1 version, and also it is working with sample script. So that being said, we have seen we have set up Spark, we have Spark 1.2.1, and we have validated Spark Shell and PySpark as well. And then if you actually look into the bin directory here, there are other commands also, Spark Shell, which we have tested, PySpark, and also it has Spark SQL. So you can use this one to run queries like we have done in Hive and Impala. Similar way you can run using Spark SQL also. which will be pointing to Hive metastore, and you can run queries against it. In the later versions, there are multiple contexts. Up to 1.2.0, there is only one context, which is which it will typically run in a Hive context to access the tables. There is another way also, but it's not very clean. But in the later versions, they cleaned it up, and now you can actually interact with the data in many ways, interact with structured data in many ways than just Hive. That being said, let me launch Spark SQL here, bin Spark SQL, and hit enter. And also, when you actually use Spark SQL, you need to have hiveset.xml. As part of the earlier video, I have demonstrated that how we can actually create a soft link to original Hive configuration file. Similar, and when I copy all the configurations for old, the existing or original Spark from etc spark conf to home Cloudera Spark 1.2.1 bin Hadoop 2.4 conf, that is also copied, so it will work without any issues. For some reason, if it is not working, that means you don't have hiveset.xml under this location. So make sure you have either a soft link or the original, copy of the original file under this path, so that Hive will work, means Spark can run queries against Hive metastore. Now we have launched it, and you can run the same commands which we have seen. Show databases to list the databases, default retail stage and scoop import. You can run show tables to list the tables. So there are many tables, and you can run queries also to see the data. So you can see the data also. So this is it about the Spark introduction. It is add-on video. As part of the existing video, I have covered introduction for 1.3.0. Most of the stuff is interchangeable between 1.3.0 and 1.2.1, except the data frame stuff. So, and also I just want to make sure that you actually practice in the right version to avoid any surprises at the time of giving the certification. That's why I'm taking this extra effort. I am putting this extra effort to teach you how to set up Spark 1.2.1 in your VM, and also you have to make sure that you are running your commands against the compatible versions for your certifications to avoid any surprises. That being said, that is it for now. As part of the subsequent videos, we will start seeing Spark using both Scala as well as Python on 1.2.1 version, and we will be running all the topics which are emphasized as part of the curriculum. And again, when you try to run the commands with 1.2.1, you have to give the absolute path to the proper files in which are under this location. Okay, so either you can give absolute path or relative path, but you have to make sure that the commands you are when you try to run the commands, they are pointing to the right directory. Even if you are in bin, and if you run like Spark shell, it will actually start 1.3.0 rather than 1.2.1, because it will pick it up from user bin. You can see that it has picked up 1.3.0. So always make sure that you use the absolute path for the file. In this case, if you are in bin and if you want to run, you have to use / and Spark shell. If you use /, it will use the file under the current directory. If you don't use /, it will check in the user bin, and then it will try to run from there, which is pointing to the incorrect version. If the file does not exist, then it will run from the current directory. But if the file exists in the user bin, then it will try to run that one. In this case, as we have given /, it has launched with 1.2.1. Earlier we did not use /, and it has launched using 1.3.0. In both the times, we have ran the command from the bin. Okay, you will understand those things, no need to worry about it. That being said, for now that is it. If you like this video, please click on the like button. If you want to provide the feedback, please use the comment section of the video. If you have any technical questions, please use the comment section of Stack Overflow, tagging it properly. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. You will get to see a lot more content like this over time. If you are interested, you can join my LinkedIn group called Hadoop Certifications, and we can start discussing about all the certifications in Hadoop going forward. Thank you. Bye.